Hi, Severance fans. Welcome back to Tori Talks with Dr. S. I'm Tori. This is Dr. S. Tonight, we'll discuss Severance Season 2, Episodes 9 and 10. We had a little bit of a vacation break scheduling, not issue, but we just, this is just the time that we're going to talk about it. This is when we have the time. Okay, so first of all, I believe it was Episode 9. Irving is sent away by Bert to a mystery place.
I was at first thinking...
What was that?
I was kind of confused because I thought, like, Bert was kind of saying that he was, like, bad. And I was like, is he going to kill him?
It was
Did you
tense.
get that sense too? Like, did Bert, like, know that... so Bert maybe still works for Lumen.
That's what I think,
right?
yeah.
He didn't actually retire.
Yeah.
And maybe he was spying on him all the whole time.
I thought the same thing.
Right? And then he saw all that stuff.
He was not severed.
And he's been, like, since before Severance existed, right? Like, that's kind of, like, what we got from that dinner party episode. So he saw those, like, drawings and paintings that Irv's been doing and knows he's, like, suspicious of Lumen. So I thought it was driving him away to, like, assassinate him. But then he just puts him up, maybe because he does have, like, the love for him.
I think he does, too.
Yeah, and he just, like, okay, we'll go, and maybe he's going to go back and say that he killed him.
Oh, well, because it sounds like that was part of his job, was to take people away, like, take them out, right?
Yeah, that's what
they did
evil, bad stuff But then, you know what? Was he severed? Because that whole thing with his husband, boyfriend, was like, oh, I wanted him to get severed so that his soul can go to heaven.
Oh.
So maybe... I don't know. Now you have me thinking.
But I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. But
either way, whether he's severed or not, he does have some kind of affection for him because he said, he just kind of like shoveled him away and he was just like, good luck to you. But that makes me sad because I know there is officially a season 3, but will Irving be back?
He has to be back.
I'm like thinking they're going to need people to testify against Lumen, which now I don't know.
I think Irv has to come back. But how without getting in trouble?
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the send-off for Irving. Yeah. I'm just going to bounce around. So Miss Wong is also sent away to the Gunnel Egan Empathy Center in Svalbard. I don't know if I said that right, but...
She's graduated, I guess, from this fellowship program?
Yes. Is part of it Milchick being... I don't know, for some reason I sensed he's, like, bitter for the...
He seemed like he was bullying her.
Yeah, and made her break that toy.
Right, which I guess in the world of Lumen, those little toys are, like, really valuable to them, right? They value, like, really lame prizes.
Like, simple,
So if she has been totally, like, indoctrinated into that world, that was really, like, painful for her.
Yeah.
It was sad.
It was.
And he kept telling her to do it, like, harder.
It was weird.
It was, like, sadistic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it makes me think, now we know that Harmony went through something like this. Did Mr. Milchick? Like, has he been a part of this since he was a child? Yeah, you know?
Yeah, actually, that totally makes sense because he's in it. Like, even though they're treating him really badly, he still wants to, like, do better and, like, impress people. Because I would be, like, out the door.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's some cracks forming. Maybe he told Drummond to devour feculence.
That was amazing.
Oh, that's amazing.
I like how the use of big words really, like, is not okay there.
Yeah.
Why are they so, like, forcing him to use simpler words?
Which is weird because they kind of use different words.
I don't know why they don't want him to. It's so funny.
All right, Dylan. He's jealous of his other. The innie's jealous of the outie. The outie's jealous of the innie, and Gretchen is pretty much in love with both.
This is one of my favorite offshoot storylines because it really makes my brain, like, wonder, like, yeah, it is messed up, but is it messed up?
I know.
Isn't it still them?
I know.
Part of them?
Yeah.
Like, some, like, innocent form of them that doesn't have, like, I don't know, the stresses of the life that the outie has, but still them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she does say, or does she say it, or does outie Dylan just think that she wants, like, that version of him and doesn't like this version?
Yeah, I think you got paranoid of that.
Yeah. So.
Well, he wants to quit.
Yeah.
He ends up asking to quit, asking his outie, because it's almost like comparable to Irving. It's because like they basically kill their innie if you think about it, right? Their existence,
all their experiences and memories are like gone, so it feels like death to them.
Yes, and his outie basically is like, you know, F you, but also I get it because he fell in love with her too, right? And you look like me and all that stuff. But then he also says like, do what you got to do. It was not like no or yes. It was just like, if you want to, then go ahead.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of
where. But then he came back.
Yes.
So then I was like, what's happening?
So I don't know if that is, I don't think he's going to follow through with that, it seems like. Yeah. There's some really creepy moments with Helena, even Helly, when so does she live with her father?
It seems like it, right? Because that was like the fancy house, and she's like swimming in the pool, and then she's eating the egg.
In a very weird way.
Yeah.
And he just wants to watch her eat, which is very disgusting.
It was very odd.
He said he would have liked them raw. Okay.
That's just weird. And like the way she cut it, and then she like set it up and then ate. I was just like, what is happening?
The tiny little bites.
Yeah, it's really awkward.
Yes, and then later on, Helly gets the creepy version of him as well. When he comes into the office and says, "Oh, my Helly," and I see the fire of Kier in you, and it's just what was that?
I still don't know. Was he talking to Helly? Like, does he accept her as like something like his daughter? Because he created like, we know he didn't create the technology, but he like owns it or takes credit for it. Like, does he consider like the innie version also his daughter? It was a little, I don't know, I didn't quite understand.
It's like he's more proud of the innie than the outie.
Yeah, because he said something really mean about Helena, right?
Like she's not it, basically.
Yeah. I kind of don't know why I feel bad for Helena.
Yeah, I kind of do too. I'm not so sure that she's just in too deep with all this, so it's not like she could break free. And
she doesn't get to live her life, even though I was mad at her when she slept with Mark because I was mean to Helly.
Yeah.
And then I do kind of feel sorry for her because she probably has this really like controlled life that she doesn't get to do what she wants. Yes. I mean, anyone who eats an egg that way,
and he watches her,
can't be that joyful.
Oh, yes. Okay, Mark and Devin, they are with Cobell. So they end up meeting up with her. She asks Mark to call in sick. There's a very interesting exchange between him and Mr. Milchek. He basically says like, oh, I got to follow up on that nosebleed. And then he's like, you know what? No, I don't. I just need the day off, right? Yeah. So anyway, she takes him to the birthing cabin. There's a very weird exchange with like the guard about like, oh, it's another one of James's like mistresses, basically.
Yeah, like, so weird. Like, so basically another woman who would go have babies, like do the labor inside the house so the outie can go live her like fabulous mom life with no memory of the like hard part of being a mother.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah.
That's another like super fascinating part of this show. Like that I'm just like messed up type of fascinating.
Yes. And once they're there, or at some point, Miss Cobell Harmony tells him about once Cold Harbor is completed, Gemma dies. What do you mean she dies? Like literally?
Like they'll kill her? I didn't know either. I thought maybe she will automatically, like quickly die. Like just boom, dead. But I guess no.
Well, what I'm guessing is it has something to do with like removing the chip. And do you just not survive that? Because like even the reintegration process for Petey killed him.
Yeah. So, and they only need the programming, right? Like they don't need the body.
Right.
They just need like to create like whatever they put into the chip, maybe. Like the chip gets programmed with all those 25 personalities, maybe.
Yeah.
So.
Well, she also tells Mark every file that you've been refining has been a separate consciousness of Gemma's.
That's messed up.
That's so gross. Just experimenting on her, basically. Yeah. Or like, I mean, she feels like a guinea pig, but I mean, maybe she's not. If they've been around this long,
right?
They must have done this many times before. But why Gemma, right?
And she's been there for years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Innie Mark gets to talk to Outie Mark, and of course Adam Scott did a fabulous job of like differentiating between the two.
Yeah,
they have different personalities.
So cool.
Yeah, they were via recordings.
Yes.
And they would just talk to each other. And then like I think a really big twist was when Innie Mark was like, wait a minute, I have to sacrifice myself?
Yeah.
I'm in love too. Like I found love also. And I didn't see that coming.
I did not either. And I saw his point.
And you can't blame him.
You can't blame him. And he has feelings, and he's not like nothing. He has like a life. And even though like when we as the audience see like the big picture, we know that like the Audi Mark has had years and years of life prior to Mark S existing.
Yeah.
But still, to Mark S, that's his whole existence.
Yes.
Like that's his world. So he is like, you know, he's important.
Absolutely. And in a way, I was like, what are you doing? No, are you serious? No, you're so anti-Lumen. What do you mean you would? But then I'm like, wait a minute. But he is still a person. Like, he technically is his own identity and he has feelings.
Yeah.
But it's also like, how would that work?
Yeah.
But what really triggers him is when Audi Mark gets Helly's name wrong.
Oh,
That's when
yes.
he's like, it's almost like the trust is gone. Like, you don't even care enough to get her name right. That you know, because he said, I know you're in love. Like, he's like almost using that against him as leverage. Like, you know how love goes. Do it for love.
Yeah,
And
I
he's like,
know.
okay.
I thought that too. I was like, oh, Mark, you messed up.
Ooh, yeah.
That was a bad move.
I know. It was like comparable to when Helena got Gemma's name wrong and said Hannah.
Oh, yes.
It's interesting.
Good one, yeah.
So he does say, he says to Devitt and Harmony, like, okay, the next time I'm me, like I'm Innie, I have to be at Lumen. So he shows up at Lumen. There is a new painting outside the elevator. It has everybody there, but one thing I noticed was Mark's eyes are closed. What does it mean?
And he's like the center, right? Like he's like some important figure in their history now if he's been like immortalized in a painting.
Because they know today's the day that Cold Harbor goes 100%.
They're going to celebrate him and make him feel like a big deal, even though they've totally like ruined his life.
Yeah. Well, Helly's there, and she's there for the whole show of it. He finally, and there's some really touching moments between him and her, and she's kind of like encouraging him to do it, to just like sacrifice your Innie.
Yeah.
And which is really sweet, but then he's like, I don't want to live without you, and it's so sad, but then
it really is, because they're like children.
I know, right?
They're like cute like kids who like, oh no, we're gonna be together forever, and then they only have like such a short like lifetime of experience,
and they're like all they remember. She's like all he knows, right? And vice versa. So he gets to 100%, and it is the biggest display of cringe I can explain. First of all, there's an animatronic Kier there, and then, of course, Mr. Milchek comes out leading a marching band, because why not, you know?
And are they all severed?
Yeah, I think that's like another department.
Yeah. And they're all severed, because it's a severed floor.
Yes.
So I remember thinking before, like, is O and D severed? But they're supposed to be, and like we're supposed to think they're all severed because it's the severed floor.
Yes.
Right? So the band is severed.
So weird.
Like, why? Like, how did all of those, they're like teenagers or young adults,
they seem pretty
right?
young, yeah.
So why did who's letting them make these choices about their lives? Or are they making choices? Are they also abducted?
Like Gemma.
Maybe, right?
Gemma-ish. Because we don't actually know.
Or forced into it in some way, like Harmony was.
Yeah.
Like, she did it, but she kind of said she did it reluctantly, too. Like, she wanted to be with her mom, but they were like, no, you have too much potential. You need to go do this fellowship thing.
And we don't have confirmation that Gemma was taken against her will. Like, maybe she signed up under weird pretenses, like not false, but they might have manipulated it to be like, you can have a baby at the end of this.
It's possible.
It's possible. But anyway, so this is the distraction to get Mark S to that dark hallway. And so Helly is trying to hold Milchek back. He's in the bathroom, is that right? Yeah. And then here comes Dylan with the vending machine, and they're
strong.
I know. And so they're holding off him. Meanwhile, Drummond and Lorne, also known as Brienne of Tarth, they're about to sacrifice a baby goat, and she's really upset about it. Like, how many more will there be?
She's had to do so many of these.
I know.
And what's
really
the purpose?
Sad.
That's what's tragic.
They just seem to be sacrificial lambs, but goats in this instance. But
just part of their ritual of like lumen worshipping.
I read somewhere it says that their spirits are meant to guide the souls of each completed test subject to meet Kier in heaven after the severance chip is removed from their brain and they die. So that's like part of the ritual of like Gemma dying, and then this. So that's just what I read. I don't know if that was an actual fact or someone's theory, but I found it very, very.
Yeah, that makes sense because this is coinciding with the completion of Cold Harbor.
It makes sense, right? So she's you can tell she's reluctant, but then all of a sudden Mark distracts them, and then there's a fight between Drummond and Mark, And then eventually she helps fight off Drummond.
Yes.
And
it's the best scene.
It is real. It's actually really funny.
It was so funny.
Maybe it's supposed to be kind of scary.
And Drummond is so huge compared to Mark. Just the way he kind of like tosses him around like he's nothing.
Yeah.
It was funny, even though it felt like really painful for Mark.
Yeah. What they use to kill the limb is like this gun.
What is that gun?
Like puncture you in the brain, I believe.
Oh, to make it quick?
I think. That's just my guess. I don't know anything about weapons. But then when Innie Mark has Drummond in the elevator and then he switches to Outie Mark and of course accidentally.
He probably just was like flinched. He's like, yeah, whoopsie.
Yeah, and then he kills
It shouldn't be funny.
But it was funny. Yes, it was.
It was kind of that over-the-top dark comedy tone that I love about this show.
Yes. So now it's up to... Now, remember, this is Outie Mark, and he knows that his wife, Gemma, is in here somewhere. So he finds her, first of all, in the same clothing she was wearing the day she left and never came back. And she's disassembling a crib. And it's the crib.
What are they doing with her now? That's what I don't understand. So
Dr. Maurer says, like, with glee, she feels nothing. So I'm like, wait, so you're supposed to take a bad memory out of... I don't know.
So that the deal that she made?
Is that what it is? Like, I don't want to feel...
Like the loss? Oh my God.
It's like, I can take this apart without feeling sadness?
Oh, I have chills. So they were testing her by making her do something that should have brought her to tears. That would have triggered her sadness in the past, but they took away that memory.
I know. I
think you're right.
But I want to also point out, and by I didn't find this out. Somebody pointed out the box that the crib was in episodes ago, what it was showing like their life before all this. The name of that type of crib is Cold Harbor.
No.
Yeah. So that's where we get Cold Harbor from. Things are just have certain names.
They have like style names.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So it kind of brings it all back, but.
Wow.
I know, people are really sleuthy. Anyway,
oh my gosh, that's awesome.
It takes some convincing, but he gets her. I mean, he's all full of blood. Can you imagine? She's just like, because this isn't Gemma technically, right?
It's the most like Gemma of all of the personalities, except without those memories.
Right.
Right? Does she have any memories?
Yeah,
I wonder. Know. Yeah, because I don't know how wiped she is.
I know.
Interesting.
But when they get to just be Gemma and Mark again, it was very... I've been waiting for it. We've all been waiting for it.
Never
for
seen
2 seasons.
We've never seen it. And I love that, she had all... So those memories are there right now. They're there.
Yes. Oh, and they make their escape, and they get to the stairwell, and Gemma leaves, and Mark stops and thinks, wait, because now he's back to being Innie, right? It's so like all the...
I like the little part, too, where she becomes Miss Casey.
Yeah, and they're like kissing. Yeah. And she's like, hello, Marcus. Yeah. And again with that actress.
What is happening?
Yeah.
She's so good.
To be Miss Casey,
my gosh.
There's a completely different personality. So funny. I'm glad they did that. It was almost like a little treat for us, right?
Because we missed Miss Casey.
I love Miss Casey. So she's out there like, let's go. And then, of course... And what did you think? Did you think, no, he'll go? Or were you like, wow, he's really going to stay?
At first, when it ended that way, I thought, I was mad. I was like, no, like, you're supposed to be together. But then I thought, you know what? How could it be? There's no happy endings in TV. Yeah. If you want the show to go on, which we suspected there would be a season 3, there's no happily ever after.
Yeah.
And in that case, this is a great way to, like, prolong it. Because I have all these questions now about, how can this be sustainable? Yeah. Doesn't he still go home? So
is he
at
just
5 o'clock? Yeah.
Is he and Helly are just gonna live in this office together?
Like a sit-in? And what about the band? Like, because now they're like protesting, right?
Right.
They're in there.
She turned them against.
Yeah.
I mean, tried to turn them against.
So I'm so curious to find out, like, what's the plan? Like, what's the big picture for the Innies?
What's your end game? What are you gonna do? Like, okay, because he decides not to go, and he's. But also, I'm a little suspicious that was Helena. I think she was sent in. I think the Glasgow coma. Sorry, that's medical stuff. Glasgow block. I think that was triggered to stop him. Also,
to go after him.
Yes, because I don't know why, but I think that actress is so good too. All these people are amazing. She doesn't seem like Helly in that moment.
Yeah,
she does. She seems. How do they do it? I'm just not convinced that was Helly.
Helly just has this innocence to her, like more childlike, and maybe you didn't see that in that moment.
Yeah, a little more composed and like...
Yeah.
Not like... I don't know. It just... I'm not convinced that that
Oh
wasn't
my
Helena.
gosh.
And heartbroken for Gemma. But then, yes, exactly. That's how else would they let it go on?
Yeah, because if he leaves and they're happily
Okay,
ever
great.
after, yeah, no
It's like,
big
what's
deal.
the next season going to be about? Just taking Lumen down? Which would be fine to watch, but no.
But there needs to be
We
even
need
more like dark, sinister stuff. Which,
Yes.
Yeah, because that's wild. Because now, what are they? Yeah, I don't know how they're going to go home. I still think we will get Irv again. Like he'll maybe come back and try to help resolve from the outside. But yeah, they can't. Is it possible that at 5 o'clock he goes home and like he hangs out with Gemma and then she just lets him go to work every day and be severed? But then Audi Mark wouldn't want that. Audi Mark wouldn't go back, right?
Maybe, but he did try to say, hey, I will take care of you if you get my wife out, which actually is what happened. He got the wife out.
Oh.
So then maybe they could make this work. That okay,
they just do shifts.
So, here, go be with Helly.
Interesting.
And then come back out, though, so I can be with Gemma.
And then Helena gets to be Helena outside of the work 9 to 5, and then gets to be Helly inside.
I don't know.
I don't know if like Gemma
he literally killed somebody, so I don't know how you...
Oh, yeah,
it's
that's
got to be
true.
recourse for that.
It's so interesting.
Yeah, but I was very excited to find out that there is a season 3 because there obviously will be a season 3. It was like the most watched Apple TV Plus show ever.
Yes.
So, what did you think overall?
Overall, I think I'm trying to think. Like, I wasn't as wowed as the first season, but that's hard to top because it was so new.
The whole concept.
Yes, the whole concept was new. But overall, I liked it. And reflecting more on it, like the ending, after watching it, I like it more. At first, I was kind of mad.
Yeah.
I was like,
I was annoyed.
Screw you. Forget it.
Yeah.
You didn't even stay with Gemma.
F you, Marcus.
Yeah. But now, now
upon reflection,
talking about it, like, I'm like, okay,
it makes sense.
Was pretty good.
And it makes sense for us.
Yes.
The audience.
And I like the weirdness.
Yes.
The weirdness is just so satisfying, like the whole goat thing. And the band.
Random obscurity.
Yeah, just like the stuff that you're just like, you don't see this stuff on TV.
Right. I know it was a really big deal when Mr. Milchick had his little dance party in the first season, so I feel like it was another way to get him to show his dance moves because he's so charismatic, that actor. So I felt like that was part of it.
They take it up a notch by putting a big marching band behind him.
Yeah, why not? Anyway, that was a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that we'll get season 3 way faster than we got season 2.
Oh, I think we have
There's no pandemic and there's no writer's strike going on.
No excuses.
Yeah, no excuses now. So that is the end of Severance Season 2. Thank you to everybody that's been watching along with us and commenting. Let us know what you thought of these last 2 episodes, and we will see you around. Bye-bye.